just a little bit about me. If I can go to the next slide, which now I'm not going to. There we go. And 14 slides ahead. Okay. So for those of you that don't know me, I started out as an internist. I started in internal medicine. I trained up in the Bay Area at a Stanford teaching hospital, became board certified in internal medicine. And after practicing for 6 whole months, after 7 years of training, I realized that I did not want to spend my days putting people on medications for diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, when I felt like so many of their issues could be managed through better eating, better lifestyle, better nutrition. At that time, which was back in the late 90s, there really wasn't a way for physicians to learn about nutrition. We weren't trained in medical school. It was kind of an afterthought if there was any nutrition education. And so I embarked on this journey of really training myself, taking courses, reading textbook, going to medical conferences, reading scientific journals. And then in 2004, this board certification became available. And I became one of the first, and still not very many of us, board certified physician nutrition specialists practicing in the United States. And I've been on this journey of really putting food as medicine at the forefront of where medicine should be since 1999. So I've worked for CNN. I was part of their health team and served as their diet and fitness expert for nearly a decade. As you can see, I've done a lot of, I've contributed to a lot of news outlets, although I feel like I'm a doctor first. And that's important to me to put the science first, and I'll talk about that. Live with Kelly and Ryan, I've been doing it since it was Regis. I've written 5 books. The most recent 2 are on the healing powers of herbs and spices. So to me, that's one of the really powerful components of food as medicine. And I have 2 boys, so I'm also a busy mom. So I like to be practical with all of and I think that's really important. And it's a bit of a differentiator between me and maybe some other experts that you may be familiar with. But in terms of what I've done with my new company, Ahara, the field of precision nutrition is so rapidly changing and so dynamic and so complex, to be honest. I really wanted to surround myself with a world-class scientific advisory board. And these are not necessarily the faces that you see on TV. In fact, none of them really you're going to be seeing on TV, except for maybe Taylor Wallace. But these are actual experts doing the research. Dr. Martin Kohlmeyer, who's one of my main mentors, has written the textbooks on nutrigenetics. Jose Ordovez from Tufts, which is where I went to college and med school, has discovered many of the genetic variants that we'll be talking about. Dr. Danziger from Tufts, actually he was on TV. Okay, a few people were on TV, but was part of doing some of the groundbreaking research in this country on advanced precision cardiovascular nutrition testing. So these are the people that I've surrounded myself with. They're at the forefront of research globally. Dr. Sumantra Ray and Dr. Rami Saad, both, Dr. Saad from the Royal College of Physicians, Dr. Ray heads a global nutrition think tank. So, and these are people that are just not here because I'm using their name or likeness. I talk to them on a regular basis. I've asked them specific guidance and questions and opinions as I have delved further into the field of precision nutrition, so that I can present to you the best science, the most evidence-based, and also to stay on the cutting edge of this rapidly evolving field. So let's jump right in, because for me, it all starts with inflammation. And I have been talking about how to consume an anti-inflammatory diet for over 15 years now. But we've really learned in the last 20 years how much inflammation plays a role in head to toe diseases, heart attack, cancer, Alzheimer's, joint pain, you name it, there is a role with inflammation. So that is a really, really important therapeutic target of any anti-aging health optimization program. We need to manage inflammation. What does that have to do with aging? This shows you a lot of aging, a lot of the diseases of aging, and even the basic cellular processes that drive aging have to do with inflammation. Dementia has to do with inflammation in the brain. Cancer, systemic inflammation, which causes the initiation of cancer cells to then, and also can help propagate cancer cells. Diabetes is associated with inflammation. Heart disease. We now understand that heart disease isn't just the slow narrowing of your arteries, it's actually an acute inflammatory event that causes the heart attacks. So, all different things, aging and inflammation are inexorably linked, which is why many people have coined a new term called inflammaging. So, inflammation and aging is a key part of what we do at Ahara. And this is what I'm going to talk to you about. So, what is an anti-inflammatory diet? So, this is a lecture. This is a slide from a lecture that I've been giving for 15 years. We have a very good idea of what a general anti-inflammatory diet is. Fiber can really help, naturally occurring fiber, not just added fiber. Carotenoids, which give plants their color. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish, garlic and turmeric, anti-inflammatory herbs and spices. Flavonoids are polyphenols. They're plant-based nutrients that can help with every aspect of inflammation and all different types: tea, ginger, magnesium. We know that foods that are very high in saturated fat, particularly processed red meat, and trans fats, which are these chemically synthesized fats, which are highly inflammatory, and sugar. What we don't know in this, because this is a lot of things, right? If you had to think about all of these things every day, it could get overwhelming. But what we can do with precision nutrition and also with personalized, which we do both, and that's what I've been doing in my office for decades, is to help you hone in on what foods are most likely to benefit you as an individual. Because I'm sure that you followed a diet, your friend takes a supplement, you saw it on Dr. Oz, this food is good, this food is bad. The headlines can be dizzying. Is it because nutrition doctors don't know what they're doing? No, it's because we need more personalization and precision when it comes to nutrition if we're really going to help the individual, not just on a population level, but the individual level, optimize their health. And oh, whoa, that just went way ahead. So what I'm precision nutrition. So what's the difference between precision nutrition and personalized nutrition? Because a lot of people use those interchangeably. And I'll tell you what my definition is and how I use them. Because so with personalized nutrition, this is what I do. This is what I've done in my office for decades is I talk to you. I talk to you about your life. Where are you from? How old are you? How much do you weigh? What's your medical history? What medications are you taking? What kind of diet? What do you eat? Walk me through a typical day. I usually do what's called a 24-hour recall with a patient and ask them other specifics or have them keep a 3 to 5 day food journal. What allergies do you have? Tell me about your lifestyle, your sleep, your stress, anything. This is personalized. And that can get us almost, half the way there or more. Like if you do a really good personalized medical, dietary, demographic history, I can give you some really good information, but it's not precise. And it's not precisely for your chemical makeup, whether that's genetics, epigenetics, biomarkers. Will go into those much more deeply. But precision nutrition allows us to go deeper and become more specific. So I think the most interesting way of really understanding the difference is by showing you the difference. So we're going to do a case study. This is, whoop, and there we go. Okay, so this is actually a real Ahara client, which is kind of cool. I took a little bit of poetic liberty just to make it even more interesting, but this is so fascinating. I'm super excited. So this is a 47-year-old woman. Her BMI is 30, so she's probably about 5'4", 155, so modestly overweight, pale skin. You'll understand why that's important. So I see that, but we have her answer that in the survey. And she lives in Los Angeles. And I'll explain more why that's important in the next slide. But we ask her, this is one of the things that we do. I want to know her health priorities. And why I want to know that from her is because after hearing her history, I may have different health priorities than she does. But if there's anything that I've learned in my 20 years of practice, is that I have to meet the patient where they are. I have to speak to what's important to them, what their symptoms are, what their health priorities are. What I think is a priority may not be a priority to them, and they're much more likely to stick with things that are important to them. So I know her priorities. I know her medical history. She personally has some high cholesterol, and in her family, she's got dementia, diabetes, and heart disease. I get a little bit of her dietary history. She eats fish somewhat regularly, a few times a month. She eats beans, eggs, nuts, and seeds regularly, but she's not a big consumer of tea, olive oil, citrus, onions, herbs, and spices. So this is what I'm starting with. And we know she told us that she follows a gluten-free diet. She gets good sleep, which is a plus, and exercises 1 to 3 times a week. And we'll talk why that's important specifically to her in the next slide when we look at her results. So based just on her medical history, just the personalized aspect, I can understand a lot of her requirements. So based on her health priorities and her symptoms, the algorithm that I have created for Ahara, which is meant to simulate how my brain works and processes her information, I've determined, or the algorithm has in this case, that the 3 key nutrients that she should be focusing on, and the reason I narrowed it down to 3 is because it just makes life easier, are magnesium, polyphenols, and vitamin C. So in my professional opinion, through the algorithm, I've determined that these are the nutrients, and I'm going to tell her about the foods that contain those nutrients, because people don't eat nutrients, they eat foods. So, and then for the core nutrients, now what core nutrients are nutrients that are fundamental to everybody. You need to optimize those core nutrients. They're foundational. So that's something, and I know based on her questionnaire that she's at low risk of B12 deficiency because she eats meat and eggs and chicken. I know that she's at risk of vitamin D deficiency because of her weight, and because vitamin D goes to your fat, and it is taken out of the blood circulation. And with omega-3s, that she may be at risk, but we don't really know because there's a lot more to the equation. And based on her symptoms, her medical history, her health priorities, I can recommend a basic supplement regimen to complement her diet, not to replace it, but to complement it. So this is great information. And I'll tell you, if she did nothing but increase her intake of magnesium, polyphenols, and vitamin C, and take a generic vitamin D supplement because she's at risk, we don't know if it's enough, but if she just did that and maybe started a generic omega-3 fatty acid supplement because she doesn't eat fish that much, maybe that would be enough. But we don't really know. We need data. Whoop. And that's the next slide. That's where the precision comes in. So what we did with this client, so again, this is what Ahara did. We measured her rate of aging because that's her priority. She said healthy aging. And guess what? She's aging 13% faster every year than she should be. Why does that matter? Because even aging 1% faster every year increases your risk of chronic disease by 57% and your risk of death considerably. So this is a measurable, yes, aging is important. How do you know how you're aging? We have testing now that can tell you, and we'll talk more about how that works. I measured her vitamin D levels. So I know she's just below. We want her above 30 throughout the year. And her genetic risk is moderate. It's not high, it's not low. But what that tells me is that throughout the year, she's going to need 500 to 1,000 IUs more than the average person. So this is specific dosing. And why does vitamin D matter? It has head to toe health benefits, can decrease your risk of dementia, cancer, heart disease, certainly osteoporosis. It's even associated with impaired immune function and even less common things that you would think about, like PMS. We measured her omega-3 levels, and they were very low at 4.3. We want them to be 8 or above for optimal health. But she doesn't have genetic risk of low omega-3s. So I don't have to factor that into her dosing. But she does have elevated genetic risk of inflammation. So that to me then reinforces the importance that this is very important for her specifically to optimize omega-3 levels, because one of the most important things that you can do in your body to reduce inflammation is have more omega-3 fatty acids and fewer omega-6 fatty acids, which are the more pro-inflammatory. The other thing that we found with her genetics is that she actually has an increased risk of choline deficiency. And I have this genetic risk. If I don't eat enough choline, I am 25 times more likely to get organ dysfunction, liver, muscle, brain, than the average person. This was an eye-opener for me. This was the single most important thing that I learned personally in my genetics. And remember, she had a family history of dementia. So this is something, even though she didn't choose brain health as a priority, having that family history of dementia really should bring it to the forefront. So this is where the precision comes in. So then we go to, this is where the magic happens. And this is what I have been doing in my office for the past 2 decades. But then we put the pieces of the puzzle together. We combined your personalized data with your precision data. And it's that combination that really helps guide what we do. So I know she's fast aging. I know that low D and low omega-3s are linked to accelerated aging. She has low of both of those. I know that choline plays a role in aging. So if she's at risk, and I know that her diet was low in polyphenols. So I'm going to really emphasize and guide her and support her in increasing significantly her polyphenol intake. I'm going to tell her precisely how to optimize her vitamin D and omega-3 levels. And we're going to retest in 3 months just to make sure that we're on track. With vitamin D, you can see she's got low vitamin D, moderate genetic risk. I know that her needs are intake. So I'm going to give her the precise dose, 4,000 IUs. Your doctor doesn't give you that sort of precision. Nobody can give you that precision because they don't know all your risk factors. They don't know your absolute level, and they don't know your genetic risk. And if you don't know all those details, you can't precisely dose. I'm precisely dosing her omega-3s, 1,300 milligrams daily, and we're going to retest. And by the way, this is going to help her with her symptom of joint pain. I'm going to educate her. I'm going to add choline as a key nutrient because it's so important with her, because she's got the same genetic risk as me. And by the way, it may address her brain fog. And I saw in her genetics that she actually has an increased genetic risk of having high blood sugar, but her diet is low in fiber and magnesium. And remember, she had a family history of diabetes, and she's a little overweight. So I'm going to really emphasize her increasing her soluble fiber and magnesium. Magnesium was one of her key nutrients to mitigate that risk. So this is how the puzzle comes together. So just to go a little bit deeper, I combined epigenetics, which looks at both your biologic age, what your cells are actually, not your chronologic age when you were born, and your rate of aging. We look at the nutrigenetics, so how your body responds to nutrients or what your nutrient requirements are specifically for not only these vitamins and minerals, but also skin aging, blood sugar regulation, the interaction between saturated fat and your weight, heart and brain health, inflammation, your antioxidant needs, your chance of having celiac disease or lactose intolerant. And then we look at specific biomarkers, which is the end game for vitamin D and omega-3. So just real quickly, because most people don't understand what epigenetics is. Genetics, we understand. That's our DNA. That doesn't change. You're born with it. Every cell in your body has the same DNA. But epigenetics is how lifestyle factors, and nutrition is a big one, but so are environmental exposures and different things like that, how they turn genes on and off. And this is what we can have a profound influence on in terms of, and we say your DNA is not your destiny, because how your DNA manifests itself, that is what determines your health and disease risk. So it's really cool because it's measurable and it has profound outcome data. And that's what we're interested in at Ahara. So one of the things that I, really like to talk about, because testing is it's precision nutrition and personalized nutrition is a really crowded space right now. You can't turn on Instagram or social media without having some company telling you that they want to test you or take this supplement or precision, answer these 5 questions and we'll tell you precisely what you need to do, personalized recommendations. Most of it is really just marketing. What I've tried to do, and this is why Ahara is so special, is give you evidence-based testing that actually has actionable interventions. So not just telling you, hey, you're at risk for Alzheimer's disease, good luck with that. Giving you only genetics that has something that we can intervene effectively. So this is really important. It's not weak science. If you measure blood magnesium levels, that's an example that I use all the time, because blood magnesium levels are so tightly regulated by your body. Measuring magnesium in your blood is completely useless unless you're in the hospital on dialysis in the intensive care unit. And different things like stool testing is very exciting. The microbiome, at least it is for me, the microbiome testing, it has a lot of potential someday. Right now, we don't know enough about effective interventions. The best we can say is eat a variety of plant-based foods to optimize your microbiome. Do you need to spend several $100s on a test to have that information? No, you don't. And then we also, at Ahara, we don't believe in doing generic testing, in charging you for things that you could get through your doctor in the first place, or things that really should be managed by your doctor. We shouldn't be biohacking and looking at Dr. Google to try to figure our way out through all of this testing. So it is really important to apply precision nutrition testing accurately and make those interventions actionable. So just real quickly, what we do at Ahara, because we're going to run out of time for questions. Again, we have you choose your health priority: heart, gut, immune, aging, brain, metabolic, and we're going to be adding fitness in the near future. So we want to start with what you want to do, what bothers you, what are your priorities? Whoop. And I'm just going to whiz through here. I can't, sorry. Guys, I am going to try to land on this other slide. This is going to be, okay. Then we have you complete the questionnaire that I created that is meant to simulate everything that I would ask you in the office, that helps me start to build your puzzle, your picture, your unique protocol. At home testing, we give you the personalized nutrition plan. And then the app is really designed to help support you. Every recipe that you've suggested, dining out options, are all going to be featured in order of the key nutrients that your body needs. And you're going to be able to track your intake of those nutrients and also track your progress in terms of the testing. And then, real quick, how do supplements fit in? We are a food first company at Ahara. Why? Because food is best. The nutrients in food work synergistically, they work together, and nature got it right. So we believe that most of your nutrients should be obtained from food. But even if you're, this is my job full time, I know I'm not getting every single thing that I need in the right amounts on a daily basis. So, first of all, I developed a food first multivitamin that purposely doesn't have 100% of everything because I want you to get it from food, but it can help you. And then we have specific supplements that are in doses or forms, for example, an extract that you can't get from food, that are really geared towards your symptoms and your health priorities. So you can see we have 3 different types of vitamin D. Why? Because we want to tell you precisely the dose to optimize your health. Vitality is a great supplement that has a really cutting edge preparation that helps with longevity. Lean is a probiotic strain specific supplement that can help you specifically with metabolic health and potentially with weight loss. I've actually been using it for years in my practice. Focus has a type of magnesium that specifically goes to your brain, so different than you can get from just eating leafy greens and beans. So supplements to fill in the gaps to support the food first approach. Just a little overview. I'm not a good salesperson, but you don't have to do any testing. If you want to just try us out and start with the basic plan, you're going to get an incredibly useful report and 24-hour access to the app, which is going to give you recipes, refreshers. You want to know which foods are rich in your key nutrients, that's going to be in the app. So I've gone way too much. I spent the entire time talking. I meant to leave time for questions, but we do have time for questions. And just so you know, we are offering a $25 off code, one time, first time users only, Dr. Melina 25. And I am going to go, feel free to stay on. I'm going to go to the chat box now and start, let's see. We great to see you. Oh, hi, Karen. Great to see you too. Wow, long time. Karen and I trained together. She's an ER doc. That's awesome. Okay. Alexia, where should I just scan through the questions? Recommendation. Let me just start from the top here because I think the recommendations for vegans, this is a great point. So we have veganism written into the questionnaire because that to me tells me that you're probably at risk of B12 deficiency and you're likely not getting enough choline in your diet because choline is very much from from animal-based nutrients from eggs and chicken and lean meat. So for example, like if you had the genetic SNP, Deshawn, that I have, I would really, really be steering you towards plant-based forms of choline. So things like soybeans and cauliflower. And if you had the genetic risk, I might even suggest a supplement for you just to minimize your disease risk because you don't eat animal-based foods. So that is one thing that's really important. Oh, question, Liz. What is optimal health? That's a really great question. I mean, and the real answer is, optimal health is different for everybody. I mean, to me, it's vitality, it's being free of chronic disease. I think that's our main thing, but it's also just not having bothersome symptoms on a daily basis, not suffering, whether it's joint pain or constipation or poor exercise recovery or brain health. These all feed into optimal health. And I think one of the things that we've really tried to do at Ahara is flip the paradigm of medicine to focus on prevention and feeling better and living your best life, not just waiting until you have a chronic disease. So how do we take advantage of Ahara living in different regions with different insurance providers? It's a great question. Unfortunately, we're working on getting the insurance coverage because nutrition is everything to me, but this is a national problem, the problem that insurance is not covered. So how do you measure omega-3 index? Yeah, that's a great question, Victoria. Nice to see you. So the omega-3 index that we use actually looks at the ratio of omega-3s in your red blood cells. So, and this is an indicator of really at the cellular level. And that's really what's cool about all the testing. We've really tried to do all the best in class of testing, whether it's epigenetics, we use the most advanced epigenetic clock to really get you accurate information so that it can be actionable and respond to therapies. Do the test results on non-genetic tell you point of time or a period of time? Yes, great question. That's why we use the red blood cell omega-3s instead of the whole blood omega-3s, is because it's a much better marker of 3 months than it is of just what you had yesterday. And same with vitamin D. And by the way, vitamin D is something that you can get from your doctor, but I don't know when you got it. So if I just had you enter your vitamin D level into the software, I wouldn't be able to accurately and precisely give you a dose. Because what if you got it 3 months ago and it was done during the summer and now it's winter, your dose requirements are higher. So that's why we do measure vitamin D, because we need a precise time point to give you precise recommendations. Microbiome. Okay, let's see. Oh, I'm Alexia.
Melina,
Here we go.
yeah, there they are, all the way at the bottom.
How do you design nutrition to support autoimmune patients? You know, honestly, this is not one thing Ahara is not is precision medicine. So with autoimmune patients, what I would say to you is there is, and this is built into the algorithm, there is a lot of overlap between different autoimmune diseases. So one thing that I would be concerned with somebody with autoimmune disease is about their risk for celiac disease, because autoimmune diseases often appear together. So for somebody like you, even though it's not precision medicine, I would want to assess your genetic risk for celiac disease to see if you might be somebody that benefits from reducing gluten or cutting it out completely. So that's very important. What's my perspective on intermittent fasting? That's a whole nother discussion. Let's do another webinar on that. We'll add it. I personally can't do it, but it does work very well for longevity. And that would be something that's a great example of something where if after 3 months, your rate of aging isn't slowing as much as we would like it to, maybe that's something that we would recommend. Maybe a few days a week, you might want to add intermittent fasting, or you may want to add a supplement to slow your rate of aging even further if you seem to be doing all the lifestyle interventions correctly. So let's see. Finding help at Chrissy. So I can't wait to see supplement recommendation. Yes, no, I can't wait. Can we access this Zoom to review your data? You mean to review the presentation? We are going to be posting it on YouTube. So if there's something that you want to learn again, or just to refresh your memory on something that I've explained. And we are going to be doing, by the way, more members only webinars and podcasts on a regular basis. So these are the kind of things. So even, if you end up joining, even on the basic level, you'll have access to the members only podcasts and webinars so these types of questions, and what we can go over more case studies so that you can understand how this can really benefit you. Okay, have I missed any here? Yes, we will post this webinar. Do your meal recommendations aim to meet all the daily nutrition, vitamin, mineral levels? Great question. And the answer is no, they don't, because they are geared towards, but what they do is, because we're focusing on food and not just nutrients, is we know that just like diseases run together, healthy nutrients run together too. So the cumulative, by eating whole foods rich in your key nutrients. And I do believe in taking a basic multivitamin. And again, we created a food first one. Together, those will work to meet your daily nutrition and vitamin levels. But those daily nutrition and vitamin levels, by the way, those are arbitrary. Those are set by the government to meet a population-based level of requirements. One of the things that we try to do at Ahara is help you figure out more your daily nutrition levels. So you may be somebody that needs 2,000 IUs of vitamin D daily, even though the government recommendations recommends 600 for you. So that's the difference. We're not trying to do everything, but we do want to make sure that you get your key nutrients in daily. And that's what the meal recommendations, the recipes, the dining out, and even the supplements help support you. How do your recommendations coincide or change based on life phase? I love this. I think that's great. It's a great question, because what we want to do is be like your partner for life. So we ask you your age. We ask you where you are in terms of menopause. And that is built into the algorithm, because that's going to have different considerations. And when we introduce the new fitness module, later this year or early next year, we will be factoring even more in terms of fitness. But at least for now, the baseline, we know that exercising at least 4 days a week is very important to slow your rate of aging. So we are asking about that, and we are advising based on that. We also know, so we multiple different levels. So pricing. So there's 3 different levels of pricing. The basic level, again, I'm not going to be too salesy. You can go to the website to learn more. But the basic level is $99 for a year. With that, you fill out the complete questionnaire, which is about 30 questions with sub questions, and you get your personalized nutrition report. If you want to add, and by the way, again, I can't emphasize how valuable that alone is. You are taking my 22 years of medical expertise. It's like having access to me. I'm asking you all the questions that I would in my office and synthesizing them into a simple, actionable plan for you. But it's better than me, because then you get access to all the recipes. I'm not a great cook, so I'm not going to be really helpful with recipes or anything like that. Dining out, you can scan a menu and know whether it's rich in your key nutrients. So these are all the ways that you can, and then so the mid-level, to have access to all the testing, is $695. So that's genetics, epigenetics, and biomarker testing. You'll never have to do the genetics again. The epigenetics, we do a modified version of that after 4 months. And then biomarkers, if you're normal, we don't retest them. If you're abnormal, we do recommend testing vitamin D twice a year, because requirements are different in the winter versus the summer, because vitamin D is converted in your skin based on sun exposure. And we also have a very high level concierge program, which is a little bit more high touch, where you get a year of testing and 3 appointments with a dietitian to go over your test, so you really understand. So that one's a little bit more high touch. And as I said, we're working very hard to try to get this covered on some level, whether it's through flexible spending and someday through basic insurance, because I've been doing this for 22 years and it's still amazing to me that insurance does not cover my nutrition services, only if I bill it as internal medicine. So let's see. Can we start at the basic level and move up to the higher levels? Absolutely. you absolutely can. And again, starting at the basic level, you are going to benefit from the proprietary algorithm that, by the way, is patent pending, that our data scientist, Matt, I don't know if he's on the call, but if you are, thanks for everything. But you can absolutely, you're going to get extraordinary information that I guarantee you is going to optimize your health and help you move towards, managing your symptoms and, again, optimizing health, whether it's brain health, heart health, immune health, metabolic health, gut health, wherever you are, it's going to meet you there and take you on this journey. Is there any anti-aging benefits from eating just one nutritious meal a day? Yeah, yes, the code is good for every level. Listen, it's the OMAD, or one meal a day. I mean, of course there are. Eating one food a day, but it's probably going to be pretty darn hard to get all the nutrients you need in one meal. But yes, I love it. If you can't grow it or raise it, don't eat it. But certainly, I mean, that's the thing. You can make, there is no one size fits all when it comes to diet. And that's why we created Ahara. So absolutely, you're just going to have to spend a little bit more time on that one meal a day and make sure it's really rich in your key nutrients. I mean, the problem is like for something like soluble fiber, let's say that was your key nutrient. If you try to get all your soluble fiber in one meal, you probably wouldn't be able to get out of the bathroom, or if you're living with somebody. So yes, of course you can do it. Is it the optimal way? Probably not. But anything in the right direction, just eating more polyphenols. If you did nothing else but drink a cup of green tea, which you could do with, that will have tremendous lift in terms of aging. So, okay. So I think it's 12:44. We've gone way over. I appreciate all the wonderful questions. I hope you've learned a lot in this presentation. And again, we've created this for you as an individual. So if you ever have any questions, reach out to our customer service. We will address them in future presentations, in blog posts. I still see patients because it's really important for me to keep my head in the game and hear what you need. So please reach out to us. Maybe not directly through my email because I get a little overwhelmed, but I thank you again. And I hope that you've learned a lot, and I hope that you sign up, because this is really the culmination of my 22 plus years of clinical experience. And we are going to continue to evolve as a company with the science. And that's what's the most exciting to me. So thank you again. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I wish you all a wonderful, healthy day. And I hope to see you again at a future webinar. All right. Woohoo.